Thank you, but we want swift prosecution of police officers involved and compensation for victims. MP for Aswase demands of government as it emerges that 7 killed were not armed robbers.
We want the government to expedite the prosecution because it is only through the court system that we'll be able to get the actual perpetrators who really shot and killed those gentlemen. So if they are interdicting the whole of the 21 police officers, that's fine.
Also, Ashanti Regional Security Council steps in to deal with low morale in the police service as the attack of armed robbers on the murdered 7 backfires.
Any group, it will affect the morale of most of the people, especially the 21 people alleged to be involved. If we think it will not affect morale, we wouldn't have tabled that as an issue at the Regional Security Council.
That's coming up here on Top Story, brought to you by Gassam, the nation builder, Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, bond savings and loans, and of course, Nationwide Health and Insurance. They were described as armed robbers by the police, but a committee established to probe the killing say there is no evidence to support the claims. The 7 were killed after allegedly engaging the police in a shootout at Mansun Kwanta in the Ashanti region. The police action was in reaction to a killing of an officer at the same spot. The killing was condemned by residents of Aswase, where the deceased lived.
What have they found from them showing that they are armed robbers? You go to steal with them, you wear jalabia, you wear long gun, all white, the white and this thing. A thief man will go to steal and then rob somebody, then putting this in. It's a planting. To me, the police, they have something to say.
But the police maintain their story. Listen to Ashanti Regional Commander DCOP justifying the killing.
We picked some intelligence that some armed men have planned to proceed to Mansun Kwanta to attack prisoners and mining sites. Our further intelligence gathered indicated that it was the same group that attacked a commercial sprinter bus and killed the police officer and wounded one other on Wednesday, 11 July 2018, and took away the 2 service rifles.
So you heard that the Ashanti Regional Commander DCOP Mensa Duku. But the government statement today has changed the story. The statement signed by Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah says there is no evidence to suggest that the victims were armed robbers. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me in studio with more. What more does that statement say, Elton?
So let me summarize it and the points provided by the Information Ministry. First, the committee has since completed its work and submitted its reports to government. According to the report, there were no facts before the committee to establish that the deceased persons were armed robbers who engaged in exchange of fire with the police. Government, upon a careful study of the report, has decided as follows: the 21 police officers involved in the incident who have been found to be principal suspects be interdicted by the police administration and be subjected to formal police criminal investigation into the matter. In the interim, government, in consultation with the families and community leaders, will provide support for the dependents of the deceased persons. Government assures the general public that due process will be followed in the pursuit of justice and calls for continued calm and patience pending a conclusive determination of the matter. And this is signed by the Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah.
Now, this issue, this particular issue, also dominated discussion at the Ashanti Regional Security Council meeting today. The Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah tells Joy News, indeed, morale among the police is low.
Actually, that is one of the issues discussed at the Regional Security Council meeting today. And we put some strategies in place which I cannot divulge on air. We are going to work on. So,
admittedly, it has brought down morale.
It's anticipated. For now, I cannot strictly say that it has brought morale down or not, but definitely we are all human beings. If you receive such a report, definitely it will affect your morale to some extent. The level is what I cannot say. But definitely, any group, it will affect the morale of most of the people, especially the 21 people alleged to be involved. I would never say that it will not affect morale. If we think it will not affect morale, we wouldn't have tabled that as an issue at the Regional Security Council.
So you heard that the Regional Minister, Simon Osei-Mensah, of course, there have been other discussions at the Ashanti Regional Security Meeting, of course, on the shooting of some policemen in recent times. We'll get into that also shortly. But Member of Parliament for Aswase, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, is demanding some swift prosecution of the police officers interdicted and compensations paid to families of the victims. We'll also get some reactions from members of the area. Of course, Ohimeng Teria has been speaking to some of them for their reactions following this latest directive from government. He'll be joining us also shortly. But let's speak to the Member of Parliament for Aswase, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. Thank you very much for your time here on Top Story. So first of all, I would like to find out from you what you make of this latest government statement or directive on this Manson Kwanta shooting. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak. It looks like he's unable to hear us, but earlier he's been speaking to my colleague Elton Brobe on that. Ohimeng Teria will also join us shortly on some reactions he got following this latest directive from government on this. Of course, we'll get to also analyze this whole situation with a security expert on this. Adams Bona will also be joining us shortly here on the phone. You heard earlier the Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah on this, raising some concerns about some morale. Earlier, Ohimeng Teria told us about some morale among a low morale. Morale has actually gone down among the police following the shooting of their friends or their colleagues also, and then this latest interdiction or directive from the government. We can hear from Member of Parliament for Aswase.
We are grateful to government for releasing the report, even though belated. I mean, never late than never, because we thought that this report should have been out much earlier. I mean, it took the committee of 6 weeks to do the investigation. It's taken government almost 2 months to release it, but never late than never. And also to say that they've come to confirm our position all this long. We kept saying that our compatriots, our colleagues, our friends are not armed robbers. Now we are happy that the committee has exonerated them. But our concern is with what the government paper is saying. They've interdicted the guys. We are not seeing. It doesn't speak into the details. You say you've interdicted them, fine. Maybe that would be a very good starting point. But we want the government to expedite the prosecution, because it is only through the court system that we'll be able to get the actual perpetrators who really shot and killed those gentlemen.
So you heard the Member of Parliament for Aswase. Thankfully, he joins us on the line together with Adams Bona, who is also a security analyst. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen, here on Top Story. I'll start with you, Mr. Bona. So you've actually monitored this whole situation from the very inception. The residents of Aswase maintained that their colleagues or their friends or their kinsmen, like they said, or maintained from the very onset, is that they were not armed robbers. But we heard that this DCOP Mensa Duku, for instance, with the Ashanti Regional Commander, together with the other policemen, saying that, insisting that these guys were actually armed robbers, so they had to shoot and kill them. But now we've seen the latest directive from government following that committee report. It looks like they were not armed robbers at all. Going forward, how are you expecting that this issue will be dealt with?
Yes, good evening, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and good evening to Honorable Muntaka on the other side of the line. I think that what further aggravated this whole issue had to do with the swift response with which the police, from the police when the incident happened. I think the police would have to draw some lessons from this by not going public and denying that, something the police have done without probably they themselves investigating is legit, is correct. From the onset, some of us raised a lot of questions that things didn't really add up, and therefore the police shouldn't have quickly organized a press conference to say these people were armed robbers. So today, as we speak, the victims and probably their relations and some of us who thought things didn't add up have been vindicated, and so lessons would have to be drawn, and I believe that is what's about the chaos in Asawase. And so first, one of the lessons the police must learn is not to quickly speak to the media when this incident happened without any investigation. They should have done thorough investigations before coming out to say yes, they are armed robbers, or we mistakenly shot these people.
But what many find interesting was that it looks like things didn't add up for everyone but the police. You have a vast interaction with them. How come everybody saw it this way, but just the police insisted that these guys were armed robbers?
Well, I want to believe that probably past incidents didn't attract the amount of attention this attracted. And therefore, if things happened in the past and they came out this way, the police came out to say, oh, well, the victims or those who might have suffered in the hands of excesses from the police actually have committed some crime. It was difficult to prove it. But in this case, I think that the committee, even though I thought they delayed government had the report, but there was a delay. I have a copy of it. Yes, I have a copy of it. Yes. And so I'm speaking to parts of it to say that some of our suspicion, my suspicion, the findings from what the committee report is bringing out is correct. And therefore, I would want to say, let's draw lessons out of it. If the police officers involved are guilty, what the report is saying, they should be punished. No one should be set free on atrocity.
Well, let's bring in the MP for the area, MP for Aswase, Mohamed Muttaka Mubarak. He's also been commenting on this matter, asking for the committee report and also the findings made public, like some of the chiefs also in the area earlier mentioned. Thank you very much for your time here on Top Story, Alhaji Mohamed Muttaka Mubarak. So I'm sure you are happy that more like you're vindicated, and also the kinsmen, they've also stated clearly from the very onset that these guys were not armed robbers. Today we're told that indeed they were not armed robbers, and 21 police personnel are going to be interdicted. That makes you happy?
Well, good evening to you and your listeners. Well, obviously, that makes me happy because our position right from the beginning has been vindicated. That is one. And two, the committee's report is now out. I pray that government makes it public so that this seemingly disagreement from the police will be put to rest, because in another, I think your sister TV station, I'm told that some of the police said they have also cited part of the report. The government has altered what the committee has done. I think that this further, justify what I keep telling government, that put this report publicly so that all of us have the opportunity, everybody who have the opportunity, who may want to read the report. But having said that, two things. One, the government is saying that, like you played in your earlier bite that you had from me, that they were going to take care of what they left behind. Please, these are state officials that have murdered people. Government should go through the necessary procedure to compensate the family. And two, the police to reinvestigate what? I'm not happy about that. Whereas that, like I've said earlier in your soundbite, the delay, it's better late than never. We're not too happy with the delay, but now that it's out, we need to fast track this, because you remember the committee itself took about 6 weeks to investigate this. And remember, the members of the committee included a justice of a high court, a BNI officer, and other security guys assisted the committee to come to their conclusion. Mm-hmm. Now, if you say that the police should investigate, you remember, my sister, all the murders, all the shootings that the police have done to individuals, where the communities have risen up to say that, look, these individuals were not armed robbers. If your memory serves you right, you remember that it was the same police that was asked to investigate, and many of them up to date have not even told us the outcome of their investigation. So
from the statement, Alhaji, aside the fact-finding committee's investigation, what the statement is asking is for a formal police criminal investigation into the matter. What they did earlier was a fact-finding mission.
The committee that did this work, part of their membership are people from the security agencies. I'm saying that, look, take the report, let the Attorney General start prosecution. These 21 police officers, when they get to the court, our court system has what it takes to be able to separate those who are guilty from those who are innocent. But if you say that the police should further go and investigate, believe me, the police will not do it. We know. There are so many cases where the police have failed to investigate. So many. And now, look, this thing happened 17th of July. Today is, we are 19th of November. How many months is that? If you ask the police to go and investigate those interdicted, my sister, it may take forever. Just take the report. As we all knew, they were telling us when it was delayed. They've given it to the Attorney General to study. I want to believe that before government came out with this statement, the Attorney General has given his advice and has really accepted the committee's report and its findings and its recommendation. Just start the prosecution, because when you start, believe me, my sister, out of the 21, those who are not guilty of the crime will get off the hook, and those who are guilty will face the rigors of the law, because justice delayed is justice denied. Let me say this. I know Ghana police, there are thousands and thousands of them that are really committed, very hard-working, and doing all they can to protect every one of us. But we must also help the police. When such incidents happen, let's get the bad nuts out of them, so that at least we'll continue to have a very professional body that is able and capable of, having the confidence of the people in doing their work of protecting all of us. But where this thing comes and then you keep delaying, you create further suspicion. Because, look, so many of the police, I've said already, are very good policemen. They know their work, they are professional, but the bad nuts, let's take this opportunity to get rid of the bad nut, because you do two things. When you prosecute this and get and bring it to finality in the courtroom, it tells all the police, when you are doing your work, you have to be more professional. You need to be very careful. Don't abuse what you have. And then the bad nuts among the police, may either want to quit police or then maybe go for further training, or better still, be more careful. But if we allow some of these things to linger, and those who commit crime such as this murder go unpunished or delay the prosecution, we'll be making the ordinary citizen lose confidence in the police administration, when we all know many of them are doing the very best that they can, and they put their life on line to protect all of us. So I'm saying that the Attorney General should be swift, make sure that these guys are prosecuted. The court system itself is not that because the committee has said these people should be interdicted. The moment you go to court today, tomorrow court will say, once the committee says you are guilty, all of you go to prison. No. The court system will go through the prosecution process, and that prosecution process is capable of dealing with the bad nuts.
Very finally, Honorable, just before I let you off, of course, you're asking for the starting of a swift prosecution. I would want to believe that you are in constant touch with their relatives or the families of these 7, for instance. Nothing will definitely bring them back. But what will be the ideal situation for them in terms of compensation, for instance, because government has hinted of that?
Yeah, my sister, you know that government has its own procedures and quantum. If you get hurt, if you get long-term, long-term permanent damage, if the person is dead, all these things are stipulated, and I'm sure that Attorney General, they have a scale where, depending on what it is, that they can recommend for payment. And I'm only saying that we all know when government wants to get something done quickly, what it can do. Please, they should treat this very urgently, compensate the family, get this prosecution, so that we'll bring to finality this matter, because the longer it lingers, the more the challenging in my community, as well as constituency and Askorompo municipality, and many of the Zongos across Asante, because it was becoming more or less like a perception, which we were struggling. So look, among the police, we have some of our own compatriots who are also from the Zongo. Don't conclude that the police hates people from the Zongo. That cannot be right. But things like this, how fast or how slow you act, can make those perceptions either stay or be done away with. And sometimes we cite examples of other communities where these similar things have happened. So government expediting action on this is so helpful for the generality of the citizen in their confidence in the police. That look, when the police get something wrong, when any other person gets wrong, when the politician gets something wrong, the law will be there to deal with any citizen, regardless of where you find yourself, swiftly. That is very, very important. If our democracy will have to be strengthened, we'll have to be very swift in dealing with this matter. Any further delay that the police should now go and reinvestigate in my view, it will just be causing delay. And as I said, justice delayed is justice denied.
We are grateful for your time, Mr. Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. There is MP for the area, Swansea. We also still have with us Adams Bonat, but definitely we also get some reactions from their kinsmen, of course, their relatives and their family members. Ohiming Teria has been interacting with them. We'll get to speak to him shortly. But Mr. Bonat, just before I let you off, you've heard the MP raise some concerns about why, after a fact-finding committee has brought out their report, which included a member of the security, of course, is the Ashanti Regional BNI Commander, Mr. David Edu Osei. He was a member of that fact-finding committee. He has concerns as to why this work will be done. Then now we are asking that the police will investigate the same matter that is involving their men, but they are asking for a formal police criminal investigation into the matter. You also have concerns with that?
Well, for me, yes, I have concerns with that. At the end of the day, the police must trigger their own internal proceedings. Within the police, they have something they call police inquiry. You are going to face police inquiry, and then once that is done, they usually would depending on the severity of the offense, you would be interdicted, and then sometimes after you go through that inquiry, service inquiry, depending on the severity of it, you could be dismissed, and then if you have to face criminal, criminal convictions, you face criminal convictions. Let's be careful not to hasten the process and end up having, a situation where the case goes to court. Because remember, the police officers would be entitled to lawyers. They would have to hire lawyers to defend them. And so if you don't have solid evidence, you can't just take the committee's, the committee's report and present that to court. If you do that, and there are certain things you don't put together well, you go to court and it is thrown out. You come back to where you started from. And so I would want to urge the MP and the people of the constituency to say they should calm down. Government has come up with this white paper. Let's follow due process. If these officers are guilty, they should be punished, put before the law court. But let's not push government into saying government should fast track the process, and in the end, we'll have a botch, or we'll have a situation where courts will throw the case out, and then we'll have chaotic situation from the constituency or the area. Those would be my comments about that, about the way the MP says, well, let's get it fast track. I believe that there are several police officers who are in prison today for committing one fraud or the other, and the police tried them. That is not holding brief for the police. But I think that in this situation, let's be careful what we ask for, because if you go to court without proper evidence and it is thrown out, you'll be finished. There are a lot of case studies we can go through. Cases that with the prosecutors thought they had a case, they went to court and it was thrown out of the window, and then we were left with nothing. So let's be careful and make sure if the police have to do a thorough job, they do it. Instead of saying no, let's go to court with the evidence or the report from the committee.
But finally, I said finally earlier, but Mr. Bona, there's 21 police personnel, we're told, involved in the incident have been interdicted by the police administration whilst investigations continue. But one person, when this incident occurred, there's one man, DCOP Duku, who is the Ashanti Regional Police Commander. He actually defended and maintained that these 7 were armed robbers and defended the action of his men. Even though we don't have names of who these 21 police personnel are just yet, do you think he should be spared if there is any punishment at all?
Well, for him, I believe as a regional commander, he would have only acted based on his divisional commanders, because as a regional commander, you work, Ashanti region is so big, so wide, and so depending, he would have taken some information from his commanders and district commanders, divisional commanders, the platoon, what's the name? The patrol commander, who would have given him information, and based on that information, which I think he should have restrained himself, he should have waited a bit, going to the media with it, which he did. And so probably they would have to caution him, but to say he's likely to be one of, because these 21 are those who were directly involved in what happened, and that led to the deaths of these people. And so for Doku, I want to believe that he would have to probably be given some amount of, maybe some caution, but not be punished in a way that probably you are asking. No, I don't think. My only problem with him was he rushed too much. I mean, I don't know why he was happy speaking to the media in an incident where I think he didn't have all the information, and so he acted without probably getting all the facts. So that's what I can say about him. Yes.
But the issue of morale, the issue of morale also.
That he acted in a way that further fueled the chaos we saw in the region.
One other issue that is coming up closely after this directive from government is the issue of morale. My colleague have been interacting with some policemen on this, and they raise concerns about morale, knowing also that just recently 2 of their men have been shot. Can you hear me, Mr. Bona?
Hello?
It looks like, unfortunately, Mr. Bona is unable to hear me on that, but we're trying to raise the issues of morale among security personnel following the shooting of 2 of their men, and then also this issue about interdiction in the same region coming up, but we'll definitely get to deal with it another time. And the Bureau of Public Safety have also issued a statement on this latest issue on the Manson Kwanta, and Executive Director Nanaya Wakwada signed that. Elton has a copy of it. Elton, what does it say?
They say that the outcome of the investigation did confirm the long-standing position of the Bureau that internal investigations often conducted by the police in recent years over similar occurrences may not have been done justice to the victims. And whilst they commend government directive to the police service, they are cautioning that interdicting and subjecting all the officers involved to service inquiry and subsequently melting out sanction to those found culpable should be done alongside an institutional-wide review of arrest and rapid response procedures, a comprehensive training of all police officers in critical tactical skills, as well as general training in democratic policing.
So that's the Bureau of Public Safety, and that's the latest statement they just issued on that. Let's wrap up with Ohiming Teria. Today he's been to the area and has been interacting with family members following this directive. What's been the reaction so far, Ohiming?
Thank you, Emefa. The residents, especially the rich families, are happy at government decision first to exonerate the 7 members of the community of any wrongdoing, being armed robbers. And according to some of them, they are still in the mourning mood because, for instance, one of the deceased persons or the victims identified as Baba Kandi, the mother died a few days ago, and before she died, she has been asking when justice would be served her son. But unfortunately, she didn't live to see this day when government has exonerated all the 7 and asked that compensation be paid to the family, as well as the interdiction of the 21 police officers said to be involved. So for them, it comes with mixed reactions. Besides, they are also happy that government has heeded to their earlier call. And though they have means and they have wanted to celebrate this in a different way, because they are in a mourning mood, they will want to wait until the appropriate time when they celebrate this particular day. And nonetheless, they are happy that justice, at long last, has been served. And they want government to also prosecute the 21 police officers interdicted to serve as deterrents to police officers to be professional in their conduct.
Did they make any specific demands in terms of compensation, for instance, apart from the swift prosecution?
They wouldn't want to make any demand. They told me they were part of a meeting today, which was attended by Minister for Zongo and Inner City Development, and also other government functionaries, together with the Zongo chiefs. And at this meeting, they were made to understand that government will compensate them. So they want the government to complete this particular process, and if they have any input to make, they will make it at the level when they are required to do so. For now, they are not making any demand for any amount, so amount to be paid as compensation. So they are reluctant and waiting for this day the government will go to them to say that this is what we have as compensation.
We're grateful. That's Ohiming Teria, my colleague there. Of course, we'll get to hear those reactions coming up shortly here on Newsnight. Newsnight starts right now.